Okay, so let us start the today's session. In the last session, we have seen the coefficient of performance of refrigerator, heat pump, and heat engine, which was working on a reverse Carnot cycle. Okay, so that we have covered in the last session. We have also seen the two numericals based on it. Okay, now in the today's session, we'll be starting with the refrigerant. Okay, we will try to understand what is the refrigerant. Okay, so see all of you. So refrigerant, it is nothing but a substance, okay, that absorbs the heat through the expansion. Okay, so whenever there is an expansion, okay, what the refrigerant is used to do, it used to absorb the heat. Okay, and during condensation, it loses the heat. Okay, see, when you talk about the refrigeration cycle, okay, the two major processes which are involved in the refrigeration cycle are expansion and condensation, or you can so call that as evaporation and condensation. Okay, so it absorbs the heat through evaporation or expansion, okay, and loses the heat through condensation. Okay, so the substance which is capable of absorbing the heat, okay, during evaporation and rejection of the heat during condensation, okay, it is known as refrigerant. Okay, so this is called as refrigerant. This is a substance which absorbs the heat during evaporation and rejects the heat, okay, during condensation. It is called as refrigerant. Okay, now when we talk about the refrigerant, okay, so the broader classification of the refrigerants, okay, it is given as first is a primary refrigerant, okay, and secondary refrigerant. Okay, so by the name only you can understand what are the primary refrigerants. So these refrigerants, they directly take part in the refrigeration system. Okay, they will be directly involved in the refrigeration system. When we talk about the secondary refrigerant, okay, secondary refrigerants are basically cooled with the help of primary refrigerant. Okay, so see, when you need to deal with the secondary refrigerant, obviously it is necessary to have primary refrigerant with it. So what the primary, when the primary refrigerant gets cooled, okay, so then it will cool the secondary refrigerant, and further the secondary refrigerant will cool the further process or further applications. Okay, so understand, see, primary refrigerant, they directly take part in the refrigeration system. When we talk about the secondary refrigerants, okay, they are not directly involved in the refrigeration system. Okay, so for the secondary refrigerants, they used to get cooled with the help of primary refrigerants. Okay, so this is how they are classified. This is a broader classification. Okay, now let us first go to the primary refrigerants. Okay, let us go to the first. What is primary refrigerants? Okay, so see, we have broader classification as a primary and secondary refrigerants. Okay, now let us see in detail, okay, what is primary refrigerants. Okay, so see, primary refrigerants, again, there are multiple categories under the primary refrigerant. Okay, let us see the first category. They are called as halocarbon compounds. Okay, first category, they are called as halocarbon compounds. Okay, so what do you understand by halocarbon compounds? Okay, they contains three halogens, chlorine and bromine. Okay, so they contains more of three halogens, chlorine and bromine. Okay, then, okay, based on the ISRE, okay, they have identified 42 hydrocarbon compounds. Okay, so there are basically have 42 halocarbon compounds, okay, which have been identified by the ISRE. Okay, it is American Society for Heat, okay, Refrigeration, okay, Air Conditioning. Okay, that is called as ISRE. Okay, so we have 42 hydrocarbon compounds. Okay, so that is nothing but American Society of Heating and Air Conditioning Engineers. Okay, basically that is called the ISRE, right? And we have 42 halocarbon compounds they have identified. Okay, and see, all these halocarbon compounds, they are synthetically produced. All of them are synthetically produced. Okay, and in the market, these halocarbon compounds, they are known as freon or genetron or isotron or aeratron. Okay, so these are most commonly used names in the market, like freon, genetron, isotron, aeratron, okay, etc. Okay, so see, I will brief you. Halocarbon compounds, okay, they contains more of three. Okay, you can see there more of three halogens, chlorine and bromine. You can see that they contains more than three halogens. Okay, one or more of three halogens, chlorine and bromine. Okay, you can have more than, okay, one or more than three. Okay, one or more than three halogens, chlorines and bromine. Okay, and see, one society is there. Okay, American Society for Heat, Ventilation and Air Conditioning Engineers. Okay, which identified 42 halocarbon compounds. Okay, and all of them are synthetically produced. Okay, and in the market, all these are known as freon, genetron, isotron, aeratron, etc. Okay, so see, all of you, I just mentioned the name here, refrigeration number R11, R12, 13, 14, R21, 22. Okay, so these are the numbers. Again, there is certain criteria how to designate, okay, the refrigerants. Okay, how to give the designation for the refrigerants. So R indicates it's a refrigerant. Okay, R indicates that it's a refrigerant. Okay, while some of the numbers you can see R11. Okay, so it's a 2-digit number. 12, it's again a 2-digit number. While some of the numbers they are 3 digits. Okay, like 100, 113, 114, 115. Okay, so some of these numbers are 3 digits. Okay, so based on the digits, okay, based on the digits, right? We will understand them whether it's okay, whether it's a methane base or ethane base. So in that regards, we will see later. Okay, just try to understand. See this refrigerant. Either it can be 2 numbers or it can be a 3 numbers. Okay, so you can see R11. Okay, trichloromonofluoromethane, CCl3F. Okay, so this is one of the refrigerant, R11. Similarly, you can have R12. Okay, difluoromethane. You can see that difluoromethane, right? Next, you can see trifluoromethane, right? Okay, next further, you can just go through that. Okay, we'll have R21 on the similar line. Okay, we have, okay, rest of the refrigerant. Okay, so all of you just go through it. Okay, just see the refrigerant. Okay, just see the names and just see the designation of the refrigerants. Okay, so this is all about hydrocarbon compounds. Okay, this is all about hydrocarbon compounds. Yes, anybody is having some doubt in this? Yes?
No, sir.
Okay, so now let us go to the azeotrophs. Okay, this is one more classification of the primary refrigerants. Azeotrophs. Okay, so what do you understand from this word? Okay, when this liquid and vapor phase, okay, is going to retain their identical composition, okay, though there is change in temperature. Okay, so though the temperature is going to change, okay, the liquid and vapor phase is going to retain its identical composition. Okay, so the composition does not change for the liquid or for the vapor, irrespective of change in temperature. Okay, so such refrigerants are known as azeotrophs. Such refrigerants are known as azeotrophs. So you can see the numbers. Okay, you can see here majorly there are 3 numbers, 3 digits: 500, 502, 503, 504. Okay, so these are the refrigerant number. We have 3 digits number. Okay, and you can see they're mixing refrigerants. Okay, so these azeotrophs, okay, they are basically in the mixed nature. Okay, they are mixed. Okay, so let us talk about R500 refrigerant. Okay, so it contains 73.8 R12 refrigerant and 26.2 R152 refrigerants. Okay, so we have mixture of the refrigerants. Okay, and when we talk about the chemical composition, okay, you can check the chemical composition for it as CCl2F2 or CH3CHF2. Okay, so this is the chemical composition for the refrigerant. Okay, so azeotrophs. Okay, just remember that. Okay, whatever the temperature it is, okay, the liquid and vapor phase will have same composition. They will have retained their composition. Okay, so irrespective of any temperature, it will not change. Okay, so they are basically the mixture of two refrigerants, as you can see. Okay, some percentage, okay, will be some refrigerant, and remaining percentage will be other refrigerants. Okay, so this is how the azeotrophs are, okay, are numbered. You can see they are basically three digits refrigerants, right? Is that okay with this one, azeotrophs? Yeah. Yes, all of you. See, I'm telling you, the purpose to understand or to learn about the refrigerant is to select the proper refrigerant. Okay. And now see, when we need to select any one of the refrigerant, okay, we should know their chemical composition, we should know their physical properties, we should know their chemical properties, we should know their cost. Okay, so all these things we should know. Okay, so that is the reason why. Okay, first we will see how they are classified. Okay, how they are designated. Then what are the properties that we should consider while the selection of the refrigerants. Okay, so let us see the third types, that is hydrocarbons. Okay, see, I had to put very less content on the PPT. Okay, so hydrocarbons. Okay, hydrocarbons, and see, hydrocarbons, they have successful applications in the commercial and industrial installations. Okay, so more focusedly, okay, in the industries, okay, and in the commercial requirements, okay, these hydrocarbons are more used. Okay, see, when you talk about the hydrocarbons, okay, they have good thermodynamic properties. Okay, these hydrocarbons, they have good thermodynamic properties. Okay, but they are highly inflammable. Okay, so see, this is the limitation you can call of the hydrocarbons. They are highly inflammable. Okay, so when you are using hydrocarbons as a refrigerant, okay, the utmost care should be taken, okay, to encounter this limitation. Okay, that is highly inflammability. Okay, so this is the limitation of that. So when you are using this hydrocarbon as a refrigerant, okay, you make sure that, okay, the conditions, okay, which causes the inflammability, okay, it should not be arise there, right? It should not be arise there. Now you can see the refrigerant number here, R50. See, we will not go into the detail of each and every refrigerant. Okay, we will try to see some of the general properties which are required, and where we will get those properties. Okay, we will try to find out for that. Okay, we will not see every refrigerant in detail. Okay, we will see what are the properties which are required in the refrigerant. Okay, and which refrigerant, okay, is having those properties. Okay, and then chemical name, you can see there's a methane, ethane, propane, butane, isobutane. Okay, so these are basically the basics refrigerant, hydrocarbons. Okay, and chemical composition, you can see CH4, C2H6, C2H8, C4H10, then okay, CH, CH3, CH3, right? So these are some of the hydrocarbons. You can see that, right? Now let us move to the fourth classification, that is inorganic compounds. Okay, inorganic compounds. Now see, all of you. These inorganic compounds were initially used, okay, before this hydrocarbons comes into picture. Okay, so before the hydrocarbons, okay, we used to use inorganic compounds as a refrigerants. Okay, so you can see them as a traditional refrigerants, inorganic compounds. Okay, inorganic compounds. Okay, so these were used before the hydrocarbon group is been introduced. Okay, so some of them you can see 717, 718, 729, 744, 764. See, some of the refrigerants I have listed here. Chemical name is known as ammonia, water, air, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and you can see the chemical composition for that, right? So this is the chemical composition. Yes. Now let us see about the fifth point. Okay, and they are called as unsaturated organic compounds. Okay, so these are called as unsaturated organic compounds. Okay, why they are called as unsaturated organic compounds? Because they possess ethylene and propylene as their constituents. Okay, so when you see their composition, chemical composition, so obviously ethylene and propylene, okay, will be the component, okay, of their composition, right? So some of them you can see here R717, R718, right? And then we have R729, right? So this is 744, okay, 764, okay. So these are some of the, okay, unsaturated organic compounds. You can see their chemical name as well, okay. You can see their chemical formula here as well, okay. So these are the some of the unsaturated, okay. You can see these unsaturated organic compounds, right? Now let us see here, okay, all of you, okay, how the refrigerants are designated, how the refrigerants are designated. Now see, when we see about the international designation, okay, that means how the refrigerants are designated internationally, okay. So they see, you will have R as a starting letter, okay, followed by either 2 digits or 3 digits, okay. Try to understand. We will have, because see, why we are stressing this concept is, okay, because for every problem which we will be solving in the next lectures, okay, we need to select particular refrigerant, okay, and for that we have refrigeration tables, okay. So you should understand, okay, so which table which we need to refer for which refrigerant, okay. So that thing you should be able to understand. That is the reason why I'm giving some time to understand this thing, okay. Now see, let us come back to the point, okay. So this refrigerants, they are designated internationally, okay, as letter R and followed by either 2 digits or 3 digits number we can have, okay. Same like which is shown, I've shown it like R12, right, then R114. So R12 it's a 2 digit, R114 it's the 3 digits, okay. Now what, let us try to understand, okay, what 2 digits mean and what 3 digits mean, okay. So see, if the refrigerant it is followed by, okay, 2 digit number, okay, so it indicates that, okay, it is derived from the methane base, okay. So it indicates that it is been derived, okay, from the methane base. You can see it is derived from the methane base, right? But if you have 3 digits, okay, but if you have, see all of you, 2 digit number indicates it is derived from methyl base, while 3 digit number, okay, I'll just make some, okay. See here, while 3 digits, you can see 3 digit, okay, indicates that it is derived from ethane base, right? It is derived from ethane base. Okay, try to understand. 2 numbers indicates it's a methane base. Okay, 3 numbers indicates it's a ethane base. Okay, so this thing you're supposed to remember, right? So see, R12 it's a 2 digit, so obviously it is derived from the methane, okay. While R114, okay, which is 3 digits, you need to understand that it is from the ethane base, okay. Now see, what are the numbers which are assigned to the hydrocarbons, okay, and halocarbons have the, okay. So whatever the numbers, okay, why it is 1, why it is 2, why it is 1 here, why it is 1 here, and why it is 4 here, okay. Again, it has some meaning. It carries some special meaning, okay. So see, so the meaning will be in terms of what, okay, hydrocarbons and halocarbons, okay. So numbers which are assigned to hydrocarbons and halocarbons, it is having a special meaning, okay. Now let us try to check. So see, the first digit it is there, okay, the first digits on the right is the number of fluorine, okay. So whatever the first digit it is there at the right side, it indicates that how many fluorine atoms you have in the refrigerant, okay. So first digit on the right indicates that, okay, it indicates that how many fluorine atoms are there, Okay. Now the second from the right, when you talk about the second digit from the right, okay, it one more than the number of hydrocarbon atoms present. Okay, so let's say there are 4 hydrocarbons present. Okay, then second digit from the right becomes 5 because there are 4 hydrogen atoms which are present. See, there are 4 hydrogen atoms which are present. Okay, so what second digits you have it from the right? It is 5. Okay, because it is 1 greater than hydrogen atoms. Hydrogen atoms were 4. Okay, so your second digit from the right becomes 5. Okay, and what is about the third digit? Because see, for this one with the 2 digit it's open. What is about this one? There are 3 digits. So 3 digit from the right, okay, is 1 less than the number of carbons atoms. Okay, so 3 digit, okay, from the right, third digit, basically third digit I will call that third digit from the right. Okay, it is always 1 less than the number of carbon atoms. Okay, let's say there are 5 carbon atoms, so third digit from the right becomes 4. Okay, third digit from the right becomes 4. Okay, so this is how, okay, they are basically, okay, designated. So try to understand. Internationally, refrigerant, it is indicated as R. Okay, so that after the R you might have 2 digits or you might have 3 digits. If it is having 2 digits, you understand that it is derived from the methane base. If it is having 3 digits, you understand that it is derived from the ethane base. Right, now see, whatever the numbers which are assigned to the hydrocarbons or halocarbons, it is having special meaning. The reason is that, okay, first digit on the right, okay, extreme first digit on the right hand side, it indicates that how many fluorine atoms you have, how many fluorine atoms you have. Okay, then second digit from the right indicates that how many hydrogen atoms you have. Okay, provided that second digit from the right, it is always 1 greater than the hydrogen atoms. Okay, so the second digit from the right, it is always 1 more than the hydrogen atoms. What is about the third digit from the right? Okay, it is always 1 less than the number of carbon atoms. Okay, and see, there are certain cases where there is no carbon atom is present. Okay, so whenever there is no carbon atom, okay, you can eliminate that third digits. Okay, so when we talk about this, see, R12, yes, there is no third digit. Okay, so what do you understand from that? There is no third digit. That means there is no any carbon atom present in R12. Yeah, is that okay? Yes.
Yes, sir.
All of you, is that okay? Let me know. See, are you able to get what I'm trying to convey? Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we got it.
Yeah. Because see, this is somewhat theoretical part. Okay, so that is the reason I need to take it on PPT. Okay, whenever it is problem, we will solve it. Right. Now let us go. Okay, let us see. Okay, what is a chemical formula? Okay, let us see now. Okay, how to write down the chemical formula, okay, for the refrigerants. Okay, what is the chemical formula for the refrigerants? Let us try to understand. Okay, you can see C, okay, to the suffix M, H, N, Cl, that is chlorine, P, F, Q. Okay, try to understand. C is a carbon. Okay, yes, you can see. See, I'll just go back. See, C is a carbon. Okay, H is the hydrogen. You can see that. See, C is a carbon, H is the hydrogen, Cl is the chlorine, F is the fluorine, right? Carbon, hydrogen, chlorine, and fluorine. Okay, see, you might feel, okay, sir, we are going in a chemistry. See, we are just touching some concepts of the chemistry. We'll not go to the, okay, doing the chemical reaction, okay, matching their moles, all those things will not do. We will just try to understand, okay, how to select the okay, what to understand by seeing the name of the refrigerants, Okay, how to designate the refrigerant, how to select the refrigerant, what properties the refrigerant should have. All those things we need to just see. Okay, will not need not to go into the details. Okay, how to make the refrigerant, all those things. Okay, now come back to this M. Now you can see M. These are the number of carbon atoms. Okay, we see because it is related with the C. So whenever it is related, see when you see this M, it is to the suffix C. That means it is related with the carbon, right? So how many carbon atoms you have? Okay, so that is M. Similarly, N it is related with H. Okay, that is a hydrogen. Similarly, how many hydrogen atoms you have? Okay, so that we need to write down as N. Okay, next. Okay, this P, when you talk about P, it is related with the chlorine. Okay, how many chlorine atoms you have? That is P. F. Okay, see, when you talk about Q, it is related with the F. That is fine. So how many fluorine atoms you have? That is Q. Okay, so number of carbon atoms are M. Number of hydrogen atoms are N. So this is how chemical formula. I have not still shifted, okay, to designate the refrigerant. Okay, now see, let us see how the refrigerant is designated. Okay, so see, as I told you, R. Okay, R is the starting word or starting alphabet. R indicates that it's a refrigerant. Okay, now see, extreme right hand. You can see the extreme right hand. Okay, if I just go back, first digit on the right is the number of fluorine atoms in the refrigerant. Extreme right. Okay, it is nothing but what? See, first digit on the right. That means what? Extreme right. First digit means what? Extreme right. So it indicates that how many number of fluorine atoms you have, right? How many number of fluorine atoms? We have Q number of fluorine atoms. You can see fluorine atoms we have. So extreme right hand side, it is nothing but a number of fluorine atoms. It is Q. It is Q. You can see Q is the number of fluorine atoms, which I need to write on the extreme right hand side. First digit right hand side. So that are written as Q, right? Now let us go to the second digit. What the second digit from the right indicates? Second digit from the right, you can see it is one more than the number of hydrocarbons. It is second digit from the right. It is one more than the number of hydrogen atoms. Okay. So let us come back here. So second digit. Okay. From the right. So this is the quantity which I want. Second digit from the right. Okay. It is one greater than the number of hydrogen atoms. So you can see number of hydrogen atoms are N. Number of hydrogen atoms are N, right? Number of hydrogen atoms are N. So we want one greater than N. So that is N plus 1. Okay, so N plus 1. That is the second digit from the right. Okay, that is the second digit from the right? Now what is the third digit? You can see the third digit from the right is one less than the number of carbons. Okay, so how many number of carbons we have? Number of carbons we have M. Okay, so we will take one less than M. We'll take one less than M. So this is how the refrigerants are designated. So refrigerants are designated. Okay, starting. Okay, so you can have maximum 3 digits. Okay, the extreme right digit. Okay, or you can call this as first right. First digit from the right hand side. First digit from the right hand side indicates how many fluorines you have. Second digits from the right hand side, it is one greater than the number of hydrogen atoms. Okay, and third digit from the right, it is one less than the number of carbon atoms. Yes. All of you. Is that okay? Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so this is how, okay, this is how they are designated. See, the two things are very different. One is the chemical formula and second is the designation. Okay, and we always have this okay, international designation for that, right? So now let us see. Okay, now let us see what desirable properties. Okay, what desirable properties we expect. Okay, what desirable properties we expect. Okay, in okay, for the refrigerants. Okay, let us talk about the first property. Okay, that is called as thermodynamic properties. First property, it is called as thermodynamic properties. Okay, now see, if you ask me what are the thermodynamic properties, okay, so here I will explain. I will regarding that. First thermodynamic property, which it should have, okay, that it should have low boiling point. See, if you want, I will just write down here also. Okay, we can have for the refrigerant. Okay, what we should have? We should have low boiling points. Okay, every refrigerant should have low boiling point. It should not have high boiling point. Okay, it should not have high boiling point, right? It should have what? It should have always low boiling point. See, if you want, okay, I will also mention here. No problem. Okay, I'll mention it. It should have. Okay, it should have low. Okay, boiling point. It should have low boiling. Okay, it should have low boiling point. So yeah, if you want, I'll just mention. Otherwise, I will explain that with the okay theory as well. Okay, so thermodynamic properties. Okay, it should have a low boiling point. Okay, at the same time, it should have low freezing point, right? Or at the same time, it should have low freezing point. This is very required. Okay, it should have low freezing point. Okay. So when I give the notes now, okay, during notes, I will clearly mention those. Okay. Now I will try to focus more on the explanation. Okay. So thermodynamic properties, which we should require, it should have a low boiling point. It should have a low freezing point as well. Okay. At the same time, okay, it should have high saturation temperature. It should have higher saturation temperature. Now see, what is saturation temperature? Okay, the temperature at which it is going to change the phase. Okay, that is called as saturation temperature. Okay, and in saturation, okay, what happens with the refrigerant? It is going to change the phase. Okay, so we should have what? Higher saturation temperature. Higher saturation temperature. See, the saturation temperature, it is nothing but what? The temperature at which it is going to change the phase, right? Saturation temperature, it is nothing but a temperature at which, okay, the refrigerant is going to change the phase. Okay, so we should have what? Highest saturation temperature. Okay, that means what? The refrigerant, okay, should not get saturated at a lowest temperature. It should not change its phase. It should not change its phase, okay, at a lowest temperature. Okay, it should maintain the same phase. Okay, so that is one more point, that is saturation temperature. Second, one more point, okay, it should have higher latent heat of vaporization. Latent heat of vaporization. Okay, it should be on a higher side. Okay, latent heat of vaporization, it should be on a higher side. Okay, so these are the thermodynamic properties. First is it should have a lower boiling point. It should have a lower freezing. Third point, as I told, it should have a higher saturation temperature. And fourth point, it should have high latent heat of vaporization. High latent heat of vaporization. Okay, now let us go to the second point. Okay, that is called as chemical properties. Chemical properties. Now let us talk about the chemical properties. See, first thing, okay, the refrigerant should be non-toxic. Okay, it should not be toxic. Okay, it should be non-toxic. Okay, it should be non-inflammable and non-explosive. Okay, as I told you first. Okay, see, one of the example which I've given to you. Okay, when I explain you about the hydrocarbons, okay, see, they are having good application in the commercial and industrial needs. Okay, but they are highly inflammable. Okay, they are highly inflammable. Okay, but see, when we want to see refrigerant, okay, we should make sure that okay, it is non-inflammable, it is non-toxic, okay, then it is non-explosive. Okay, so these are the chemical properties. Okay, at the same time, okay, they should be non-corrosive. Okay, they should not cause the corrosion. Okay, because whenever they will cause the corrosion, what will happen? Okay, there will be the loss of material. Okay, and it will add the, okay, the value to the value, okay, for maintenance. Okay, it will limit its life. See, whenever there is a corrosion, what happens? Due to corrosion, okay, so material, okay, very fast. Okay, as a result, what will happen? The life of the system, life of the refrigeration system, okay, will get reduced. Okay, so it should be non-corrosive. Then it should be have chemical stability in reacting. Okay, so whenever it is reacting, okay, it should be chemically stable. It should be chemically stable. Okay, then it should not have any effect on the quality of the stored food or flowers or other material. Okay, so see, whenever you will select any refrigerant, you make sure that it will not affect the quality of the stored food atoms. Okay, let's say in the refrigerant, let's say in the refrigerator, you're using 134A refrigerant. Let's say, for example, you're using that. Okay, but by using that, okay, the quality of the food atoms, okay, let's say you are keeping milk in the refrigerator, or you might put some vegetable in the refrigerator. Okay, so their quality should not be reduced or it should not be lowered. Okay, so it should not or you should not compromise with the quality of the food atoms, okay, which you have kept in the refrigerator. Okay, then it should be non-irritative. Okay, it should be non-irritating. At the same time, it should be odorless. Okay, you should not smell its odor. Okay, it should be odorless. Okay, so these are some of the chemical properties. I will just brief it again. First, it should be a non-toxic, it should be non-inflammable, it should be non-explosive, it should be non-corrosive, it should be chemically stable. Okay, it should not affect the quality of the food atom which are being placed. Okay, at the same time, it should not be, or it should be non-irritating. It should be non-irritating. It should be odorless. So all properties the refrigerant, okay, refrigerant should possess. Okay, now let us go to what physical properties we should have. First property, okay, it should have low specific volume of a vapor. Okay, simple. Specific volume. Okay, what is specific volume? That is volume available per kg, for per kg. That is for every 1 kg, for every 1 kg, how much available? Okay, low specific volume. Specific volume should be less. Low specific heat. Okay, specific heat. It is indicated by C. Specific heat is indicated by C. Okay. Okay, so you should have next. It should have high thermal conductivity. Okay, high thermal conductivity. That means it is capable of conducting the heat very fastly. Okay, see thermal conductivity. See, higher the value of thermal conductivity, okay, more the heat it will carry. So more thermal conductivity means what? More capability to transfer the heat. Okay, so that is what is required. Then low viscosity. Okay, it should not be a viscous. Okay, it should be have a less viscosity. Okay, then we should have high electrical insulation. Okay, whatever the refrigerant that you are using, it should be electrically insulated, okay, at a higher extent. Okay, so there might be chances that the refrigerant may come in directly in contact with some electrical network. Okay, and there might be chances, okay, of what? See, when any refrigerant is going to come in contact with the refrigerant, what happens? Okay, there will be a shortage. There will be a shortage. Okay, and that we need to avoid, right? For that, there should be high electrical insulation that should be provided by the refrigerant. Okay, there are, okay, so all of these are what? Physical properties. We have seen chemical properties. We have seen thermal properties. Okay, like see, what are the other properties? Okay, so let us see with the other properties like boiling temperature. Let us start with the boiling temperature. Okay, so when we talk about the refrigerants, okay, and the boiling temperatures, okay, so boiling temperatures of the refrigerant should be low. Okay, so we need to select the refrigerant in a such a manner that their boiling temperatures should be low. Okay, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let us go to the next point. That is freezing point. Freezing point. Okay, now what is about the freezing point? Now see, so refrigerant must have, okay, lower freezing point. All of you make sure that the refrigerant must operate in the cycle above its freezing point. It is evident that, okay, same for the refrigerant must be the lower than the system temperature. Okay, so what do you understand from this word? Okay, freezing point. As the refrigerant must operate in the cycle above its freezing point. See, all of you, you understand that refrigerant. What is about the refrigerant? Refrigerant must operate in the cycle above its freezing point. It is evident that same for the refrigerant must be lower than the system temperature. Okay, so always remember, freezing point of the refrigerant, it is always lower than the system temperature. System temperature, it should be always freezing point, it should be always less than the system temperature. This you should always remember. Initially, what I told you, the freezing point, it should be low. Okay, but it should, how much it should be low? It should be lower than the system temperature. Is that okay? Yes, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now see one more point. It is called as, okay, other properties of the refrigerant, okay, which I have not mentioned here. It is called as evaporator and condenser pressure. Okay, one more property it is there, which is called as evaporator and condenser pressure. Listen, whenever you have any refrigerant, okay, evaporating pressure should be always the same as atmospheric pressure. Evaporator pressure, whatever the pressure, okay, on which the evaporator is acting, okay, that pressure has to be same or it should be near to the atmospheric pressure. Okay, so that is very important, okay, which is required. Now see one more point, okay, which I mentioned, it is toxicity. Okay, so it should be less toxic. Okay, the refrigerant, it should be less toxic. As you can see, inflammability, it should be less inflammable. Okay, viscosity, it should be less viscous. Okay, after that, okay, it should have a high thermal conductivity. It should be, okay, the refrigerant, if it is going to leak, okay, we should be able to, okay, identify that leakage. It should have a less leakage tendency. Okay, the refrigerant should leak, okay, in the very less extent. That is what is required. Okay, then we also see the cost. Okay, it should be cost effective. Okay, then there should not be any action. There should not be any action between the lubricant oil and the refrigeration. That also we need to see. Okay, so all these are the properties of the refrigerant. So we have started first with the thermodynamic properties, right? So in the thermodynamic properties, as I told you, okay, we have seen that it should be have lowest boiling point, it should have lowest freezing point, okay, it should have higher saturation temperature, okay, then it should have highest, okay, or higher latent heat of vaporization. So that all we have seen. Then chemical properties, as I told you, okay, it should be non-explosive, non-toxic, it should be non-inflammable, non-corrosive, it should be chemically stable, okay, it should not affect the quality of the food atoms, it should not, or it should be non-irritating, it should be odorless. So these are the chemical properties. Physical properties, it should have less specific volume, it should have low specific heat, okay, it should have a higher thermal conductivity, okay, it should be less viscous, then it should have higher electrical insulation, okay, it should be insulated electrical, right? Then we also seen the other properties, okay, like boiling temperature, okay, so we have mentioned that it should have a lowest boiling temperature, okay, then we have seen the freezing point, okay, so it should have lowest freezing point, okay, and that lowest freezing point, it means what? The freezing point, it should be lower than the system temperature, that we have seen, right? Then we have seen the toxicity also, inflammability, thermal conductivity as already explained, viscosity I also explained, leak tendency and cost, okay, so all these parameters we need to, okay, see while the selection of the refrigerant, right? Now let us see, okay, the next classification of the refrigerant, okay, and that is called as a secondary refrigerant. See, if I just go back to the slides, you can see we have started with the primary refrigerants, right? So in primary refrigerants, we have covered this halocarbons, azeotrops, hydrocarbons, right? Then we have seen inorganic compounds, unsaturated organic compounds we have seen, right? Now we are seeing what? At the last, we will see the secondary refrigerants. Okay, and more used secondary refrigerants, they are water and brine solution. What we used to call it as water and brine solution. Now see, secondary refrigerants. What do you understand from the secondary refrigerants? They are not directly involved in the refrigeration. Okay, so these are secondary refrigerants. They generally get cooled with the help of primary refrigerants. Okay, so they are indirect refrigerants, as you can call. Okay, so example will be the water and the brine. Okay, now what advantage?
So what is brine?
Yeah, brine. What is brine? It's a solution of salt. Brine is a solution of salt in water. Shall I mention that? Salt water. See, one is a brine, and see, one is a water and second is salt water. Brine is nothing but a salt water. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yes. See, I just written the chemical name. That is the reason why I mentioned it as a brine. It's the, okay, it's the solution of salt in water. It's a solution of salt in water. Okay. So what advantage you will get by using secondary refrigerants? Okay. So different temperatures you are able to maintain in a different parts of the building by controlling the amount of brine flowing in that part. Okay, let us take the example. See, if you want to cool one building, okay, and you want a different temperature in, let's say, bedroom, you want a different temperature in hall, you want a different temperature in, let's say, kitchen. Okay, so in that case, what you can do, okay, by controlling the amount of brine. Okay, brine is a solution of salt in water. So by controlling the amount of brine which is flowing in that particular part, you are able to control that temperature. Is that okay? Yes? Yes, all of you? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, what advantage you get? Next advantage by using secondary refrigerant. Okay, they are easy to handle and they're easy to control. See, we just need to control water and solution of salt in water. Okay, so they're easy to handle, right? Then okay, all of you. Now the next thing, okay, when you talk about the water and brine, okay, they are not toxic. Okay, water and brine, right? They are non-toxic. So this is one of the advantage you will get. Okay, so these are the three advantage as I told you. Okay, first, glycol. Okay, so all these are more commonly used secondary refrigerants. See, first is a water. Okay, second is a brine. And what is brine? It's a solution of salt in a water. Okay, and we might have sodium chloride brine. We might have calcium chloride brine. So all these brines. Okay, is that okay, all of you? Yes.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
okay, all of you? Okay, okay. So with this, okay, we will conclude the today's session. With this, we will conclude the today's session, right? And in the next session, we will continue, okay, with, okay, we will continue with, I'll just tell you what we will continue in the next session. Okay, air refrigeration system. Air refrigeration system. Okay, I'll just show you that. See, 1.1 we have already covered basic knowledge. Okay, 1.2 we have covered in the today's session. Okay, 1.3 that is air refrigeration system. Okay, in that we will first start with Bell-Coleman cycle. Then okay, this 1.3 we will start in the next lecture. Is that okay, all of you?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. Just see this one. All of you. See, we have finished with the basic knowledge 1.1. Now we have finished with 1.2 refrigerants. And in the next lecture, we will start with 1.3, that is air refrigeration system. We will start with Bell-Coleman cycle, right?